Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We've got a special show for you guys tonight. Got a special guest. We're going to be doing the Gator Bowl preview and our game day pick'ems. All right, guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College SportsCast. Got a special guest with me tonight. He is part of our DeFanboys team, and he does his own podcast. I will introduce him as James. What's up, James? How are you?
I'm doing well, Brad. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing good. So James does a Clemson fan podcast for the DeFanboys, and I'll let you kind of plug what you do for DeFanboys, James.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The name of our podcast is called Fun Fans Podcast. So it's really easy to find anywhere. We're on pretty much all social media, Spotify, etc. Fun Fans Podcast. And my co-host is a old college buddy of mine. And we started out just talking about, we wanted to talk about our college football experiences, and we talk mostly about what we do at our tailgate or things we see at the game or things we see while we travel and that type thing. We really only talk a little bit of football, but both of us are former high school coaches, so we have that background, and it keeps us from getting on to the coaches and that type thing too much. So we like having the fun and leaving the football for the most part to the experts, to the real experts. And but we do like talking about the stuff because everybody gets riled up about the topics, the NIL and that kind of thing. And but I appreciate being on the show. Yeah, Fun Fans Podcast. And just while I'm saying this, we missed our show this morning. I'm supposed to be live in Jacksonville, but I'm at my in-laws' house. We've had somewhat of a family emergency, and I drove all night this past night to get back to South Carolina. But I'm glad to be. So sorry if hopefully me and Bailey will be back at our normal time, if not Sunday, as soon as possible, and we'll get back at it. But I appreciate Brad having me on here for at least a few minutes so we can get a little bit out there for the fun fans.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be fun. We've got a matchup between my team and your team in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl that kicks off tomorrow at noon Eastern time in Jacksonville. That's what he was talking about. They were going to the game. They do a whole lot of tailgating and stuff, and that's what they talk about a lot and stuff on their podcast. So they were going to go to and be in Jacksonville. But I appreciate you taking the time out, especially with some stuff going on, to kind of do this with me tonight. Like I said, James and the Fun Fans Podcast is part of our DeFanboys team. So check us out at defanboys.com. There's lots of other podcasts there as well that you can check out, but ours is College SportsCast and his is Fun Fans Podcast.
Fun Fans.
We've got NC State teams and Notre Dame and Texas and Furman and
Florida State, poor Florida State. We got
yeah. So you can check out Tennessee, I think, still on some of the things, and so you can check out a bunch of different teams there. But we're going to kind of dig into the Gator Bowl. The Gator Bowl is tomorrow. Let me see here if I can find my ticker. There we go. So Gator Bowl preview. with James. So James, kind of talk about the way Clemson ended their season. That's probably the best part of their season, the way they ended their season, and kind of fill us in a little bit on the progress, I guess, that Clemson made from their not so great start, especially for Clemson.
Right. So, as everyone knows, we didn't start out all that well. A lot of turnovers, a lot of way too many turnovers, period, but a lot of really odd, the worst possible scenario type turnovers, the scoop and scores and the pick sixes. And it was almost like the football gods were against us there for a while. But
you can't have all the luck all the time.
You can't have, that's right. You can't have all the luck all the time. But after the starting with the Notre Dame game, Clemson obviously pretty much turned it around, and mainly just by stop turning it over at least so much. And everybody, even the non-Clemson fans, loves the Dabo-isms. So when Dabo said, if Clemson was a stock, you better buy right now, at least so far, he wasn't kidding. He knows what he's talking about. And we finished the season winning 4 games in a row. Obviously, got back a rival revenge game against our rival, the Gamecocks, at the end of the season. So that's always fun. And so it was really exciting the way we ended the season, 8-4. Which, hey, like I said, we're former coaches, so there's going to be years where there's plenty of schools that would love to be 8-4, as much as a lot of Clemson fans say that sucks and whatnot. But it's not so bad. And we picked up some coaches. There have been coaching changes already that a lot of the fans are excited about. And if you really look, and Bailey pointed this out all throughout the season on our show, if you look at Clemson's roster, we are so young. People harp about the portal. Dabo knows what he's doing. He's got a portal right there on his bench, is what we say, and he does use the portal, just not as much. We don't get as many kids as other teams. We offer a handful. People just don't know that unless they say yes.
Right.
So, but got a few new coaches in there: new offensive line coach, new defensive line coach, and the fans are excited about that. And the youth that's coming up. And we're excited and looking forward to playing an SEC team. Kentucky is as strong a team that we can be matched up with. So to be able to show where we really are, I think it's a good matchup for Clemson. Where we are right now, and and if we can at least play well, it can be something to carry us into next year.
The matchup, James.
Yeah,
I was pretty excited about the matchup. It was a game that I kind of was actually looking forward to. There was some teams being thrown around, Virginia Tech, Duke, because, it's an ACC, SEC bowl matchup, and there was some teams being thrown around. And out of all of them, I would rather play Clemson. I'm the type of guy, I'd rather play a name brand, somebody that's been there, that's up there. I'd rather challenge myself and play somebody good. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Clemson was my choice. I think it should be an excellent game tomorrow. He was talking about finishing your season by beating South Carolina. The second to last game for Kentucky, we had to go to South Carolina, and we had every opportunity in the world to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Lost 14-10, scored 10 measly points at Williams-Brice. And it is a tough place to play. I think you guys know that. The crowd gets into it. That's one of y'all's biggest rival. So, but anyways, I wish we could have beat them. We would be sitting at 8-4 too, where you guys are, but we're sitting at 7-5. But we did beat our rival in rivalry and beat Louisville, who finished second in the ACC and was in the championship game for the ACC this year. So we'll see how this plays out. I think it should be a good matchup. Let's start with the transfer portal. But what I really want to know is opt-outs and players that are not playing in the Gator Bowl tomorrow. So
for Clemson, I guess. So
yeah.
I'm probably going to miss some because,
Right.
like I say, we were planning on, where's the pep rally, where are the best places to go eat, and then we just
Right.
happened to hear about the guys that transfer and opt out. But Clemson, if we start offensively, honestly, in my opinion, Clemson should not skip a beat. There's the backfield that we have with Maffa and Shipley.
They're
They're going to
playing.
play. You got
Yep.
Cade, who, if you think about Cade, he's still young, but he's got a lot of football under his belt now. And we did lose Bo Collins to the transfer portal to Notre Dame, but we're getting some injured. We haven't had a healthy receiving core really all season long. We will have more of our top receivers in the Gator Bowl, even with Bo Collins gone. So not too worried about that. I mean, I hate Bo left, but not too worried about him missing the Gator Bowl. Defensively, on the other hand, there's definitely some key players. When you lose transfer portal kids, at least from Clemson standpoint, that's usually not a big deal. But it's those NFL players who are opting out because they're worried about draft status. Obviously,
Right.
they're great players, and we're going to miss them. We got some great young kids that'll come into our defensive secondary, but we're going to miss Nate Wiggins playing cornerback. We're going to miss Jeremiah Trotter playing linebacker, and you just can't replace a player that's literally one step away from NFL with somebody on. Maybe Alabama can, but even Clemson with the recruits we have, they don't have that type of experience. So
and on the
that's what I'm.
On the Kentucky side, James, we had a few NFL guys that's declaring for the draft. I mean, Ray Davis, the running back, declared for the draft, but he's playing.
But he's playing,
he's playing. Drew Phillips, one of our cornerbacks, declared for the NFL draft. He's playing.
You guys even have a transfer portal kid that's still playing, right?
Yes, we actually have about 4 or 5 transfer portal kids that are playing.
Yeah, so y'all are at full steam really when it comes to
we're missing 2 guys. One is our starting right tackle, Jeremy Flax, but both of the guys that we are missing is because of injury or surgery.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy Flax was our starting right tackle, and he is injured and he's out. And then our starting left guard from the beginning of the season, Kenneth Horsey, is out because he had surgery. But I will say he was hurt some this year, and he really only played like 4 or 5 games. Kenneth Horsey did. So the guy that filled his spot and been playing most of the year is still playing in this game, Dylan Ray, as our left guard. But those are the 2 players that I know that are starters that we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we are missing a couple of linebackers that were backups that played a lot of snaps. They didn't start, but they were backups that played quite a bit. We're missing a couple of linebackers that I think is going to hurt probably. So those are really the players. Keaton Wade and Martez Thrower are the 2 linebackers that I'm talking about that played quite a bit this year for Kentucky. So that's really the 4 guys that I can think of that played quite a bit that we're going to be missing.
So I'm going to say advantage Kentucky, though, when it comes to having the starters versus the other guy.
Yeah, because you guys are missing a defensive lineman that was really good. You're missing Jeremiah Trotter, your linebacker. You're missing your great cornerback. and I think you're missing a safety as well. I think
Yes. Yes.
that was a starter that's you've been there and played quite a bit. So, so on the defensive side of the ball, you guys are not nearly intact. I think offensively, your offense is probably pretty good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Offensively.
I
Yeah.
agree.
But I will have to say that the advantage on that is probably in Kentucky's favor. So, James, who do you think are key players for the game?
Well, on Clemson side, offensively, it's got to be Cade. Just like most any other offense, the ebb and flow goes with the quarterback. If he plays well, the offense will do well. The receivers are going to, do their part generally, and they just kind of follow the quarterback's lead. So it just depends on what kind of game he can have, especially not going back to the goofy turnover situations. None of that stuff, and hopefully we'll be okay. And on the defensive side, you know, somebody's got to step up, in my opinion, and it may not necessarily be in those spots where we're having to replace players. It doesn't have to be a linebacker or a defensive back or a safety. If our defensive front, as a group, because they're pretty much intact, that about 8 players, and all of them are probably going to be in the NFL at some point in time. Just most of them very young. Yeah, uh, they
There's
they're
Harris.
pretty much there, and those guys can step up and make a difference, even at the other levels of the defense. The linebacking and the defensive secondary part, in my opinion. So I think the defensive front really needs to step up, and Cade has to play well on offense for Clemson.
Okay. Well, I mean, for Kentucky, I think Leary having some experience playing against Clemson should be an advantage, I would think. Um, and then getting Ray Davis back on offense and having him available, especially with Clemson having a few guys out on defense, I think should be key as well. And then defensively, a guy that I didn't mention a while ago when I was talking about the NFL guys. So Trevin Wallace also declared, our starting middle linebacker declared for the NFL draft, and he also was playing in this bowl game as well. So our starting linebackers with De'Eric Jackson and Trevin Wallace, I think those are going to be two really big key players on our defense, and also Hairston, our cornerback, that has 5 picks on the year, 2 pick sixes. I think he could be big in this game as well. So that would be the players that I would say are probably key players on the Kentucky side.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Clemson, for you guys to have an advantage, to get the win, what do you think are keys to the game?
In my opinion, when you have, and this has already been evident in the games, the bowl games that have been played, where a team has lost, even a handful of players to the portal or the draft. But the key to the game, for, in my opinion, both teams is going to be the special teams. If you can be solid, you're going to plug in. Clemson's having to do more plugging than Kentucky, but you're plugging in offense and defense. But those are positions that those kids have been practicing all year. They've been a backup, whatever. But when you start having to plug in on special teams, or some schools take it as an opportunity to play some of the younger kids, and some schools don't. It just kind of depends on the philosophy. But this game could be, it's only a 4-point spread last time I saw, a day or two ago. So if Vegas is predicting it to be a close game, I think it'll be a close game. It could come down, in my opinion, it probably will come down to who is most solid, and with special teams, you just want no errors. You want to field the ball, you want to kick the ball, you want to make the field goal, just that kind of stuff. The team that does that the best And if both teams do really well, that's going to make it even closer. But I think the key to the game for both teams is special teams play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be big, because what you're talking about is when you're missing, 6, 8, 10, 12 guys, I think that probably affects your lineup on the special teams more than anything.
Right. Your backup linebackers were probably on punt
Yeah.
coverage, kickoff coverage, and
Right.
all this stuff. So
Yes,
did they replace them with starters?
They
You
were.
replace them with starters that don't normally play that position. They might
Yeah.
not be used to those extra reps, or do
I
you
mean,
replace
they
them with?
played a lot. They played on
Yeah,
defense. They played special teams. I mean, so they were on the field a lot, and we will miss them. Keaton Wade was a really, really good player, and I mean, he just is behind Trevin Wallace, who's going to the NFL. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we definitely will miss him in this bowl game. That's for sure. One of my keys, I think, with Clemson having to play some freshmen at corners, I think trying to take advantage of that with Leary and with our wideouts, with Berrien Brown, with Dane Key, with Tavion Robinson. I think, trying to take advantage of true freshmen playing. I think you got a redshirt freshman playing on the corners, and trying to take advantage of that, I think, would be a key to the game. And then I've already said this, Ray Davis going against y'all's D. And I keep talking about the defense because honestly, that was Clemson's bread and butter this year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have been one of the top defenses in the country. Have at least 3 or 4 should be NFL players on, that from this year on that team. And with a few of them being out, I think there is a opportunity to take advantage of it if we can. I'm not saying we will, but if we can, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's in my opinion. The defensive front's got to step up because those guys are going to make mistakes back there, and when you make a mistake in the defensive secondary, a lot of times that leads to touchdowns. But it's just probably going to happen. So you're exactly right. I think Kentucky will at least try to take advantage of that, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
that's why they play the game, right?
I think you have to at least try to exploit it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have to try anyway. I'm not saying that we can. You guys, it's not like you guys. Your freshmen coming in are not at the same level that our freshmen coming in a lot of times are. So I get that. You guys have been at the top of the mountain up until a couple of years ago for at least 6 years, 7 years. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, your recruiting level, you guys can probably take a few hits more than what we can. So having some guys play for us means something to us. We missed some guys last year against Iowa in the Music City Bowl. We had some opt-outs. We had a few injuries, and we missed some guys, and it was clearly evident that when Kentucky is missing some of its best players, we don't really have 2 and 3 deep, that can go and do that. So I think Clemson has a much better shot at
that. I hope so. That'll be yet to be seen. Yeah. It's that experience means a lot.
All right, James, it's down to this. Who wins tomorrow?
Hey, I'm going to tell you who wins. And this is a Fun Fan Podcast answer. Jacksonville wins. The fans win. We drove down there, like I say, and Bailey, and he had some family there, and we had plans, and I had some friends and some other Clemson folks, obviously, and it was all set up. A lot of money is being spent in Jacksonville right now. We had our $2 bills stamped with the Tiger Paws. So Jacksonville wins. the Kentucky fans, I've been to bowl games against Kentucky before. They're great
Right.
fans, and I've already heard there's a ton of them down there, and those are the winners. So the players getting to go to a bowl game, hopefully they appreciate the opportunity to play in the postseason, and they get all the gifts and all this kind of stuff. So that's fun. But I know you want to hear, I got, Clemson's going to win. They're going somehow they're going to pull it out. It's going to be our kicker started making field goals against South Carolina. So if he keeps that going, maybe we'll win, by 3 points or something.
Yeah. I mean, it started out as a 7 or 7.5 point spread. It's down to like 4.5. I think a lot of that has to do with the opt-outs for you guys on defense, I think. And
I think when your running back made his decision
yeah,
to play,
yeah,
I
that
think
dropped it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that did it.
Yeah, that dropped it a little bit too when Ray Davis decided to play. So, it's going to be, you guys are favored by 4. You guys are the powerhouse, honestly. So if we could just hang with y'all and have a chance, I'd be happy with a 3-point win, to be quite honest with you.
Hey, me too.
You know what I mean? I'd be tickled with a 3-point win, but I will agree with this. You was talking about the city of Jacksonville. This is played at the Jacksonville Jags Stadium in Jacksonville, and they always put on a great show. This is the 3rd time in the Mark Stoops era that Kentucky has played in the Gator Bowl down there. We played. We were 1-1 in the Gator Bowl so far. So this is our 3rd time down there. They put on a great show. It's a great venue, and I do believe that we will see a good show. Clemson and Kentucky have a little bit of a history playing in bowl games. They played in 1993 in the Peach Bowl, which Clemson won and shouldn't have.
I was there.
Marty, I don't know if you remember this, but Marty Moore picked y'all off. We were ahead 13-7. All you had to do was take a knee. Take a knee, Marty. Take a knee. Anyways, Marty decides to run the ball back. I'll be damned if he don't fumble. Clemson gets the ball back, scores with 20 seconds left, and beats us 14-13.
Yes.
And then 2006, we beat you guys in the Music City Bowl. In 2009, you guys beat us 21-13 in the Music City Bowl. So this is our 4th matchup with Clemson in the last 30 years in bowl games. Just to give you guys a little tidbit on that. So, James,
we'll see.
It's been fun. I appreciate you being on with me, man.
No problem. Thank you very much.
You got a lot going on. Yeah, I know you got a lot going on with your family and stuff like that. So I appreciate you taking the time out to do this and being on with me, having a little fun with me. We probably should be on each other's show a little bit more often, kind of, do this and have a little fun together. So you guys are
maybe
fun
we can
fans.
maybe we can actually talk a little basketball this year. Clemson seems to be has started.
Hey,
good.
Clemson's got a good team basketball, so yeah, absolutely. PJ Hall and y'all got a good team. I've been impressed so far.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I've been impressed so far, I have to say. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll do it again. We'll have you on our show. We'll just mix the show. We'll mix them up.
All right, James, that sounds good. I appreciate you being with me. Guys, this has been College SportsCast Gator Bowl preview with James Dillard from Fun Fans Podcast, part of the Fanboys team. We appreciate James being on with us, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Have a good night.
All right.
All right, guys. That was our Gator Bowl preview with James Dillard. like I said, he is part of the Fanboys team, and he is big Clemson guy. He does tailgates and everything, goes around with his friend Bailey, and they do tailgates at all these Clemson games and stuff. And he was planning on doing one for the Gator Bowl as well, but had a little family emergency and stuff come in, so happened. So he's back in South Carolina, and his buddy Bailey is in Jacksonville doing the parade tonight and all that good stuff. So now I'm going to be joined by Hammonds that's always here with me. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
Hammonds has been on for just a few minutes here listening in, and it's fun to do a little bit of Gator Bowl preview with James Dillard from the Fun Fans podcast. I always have a little bit of fun between the Fanboys team, especially right now with Clemson and Kentucky having the matchup tomorrow. So did you get to check any of the preview or the Gator Bowl preview that we just did?
I didn't pay much.
Some of it?
Some of it off and on. I wasn't really. I was letting you kind of just do your thing with him. So
yeah. All right. So it looks like we got Josh, Clyde. What's up, guys? All right. So now that we've got our Gator Bowl preview out of the way, guys, we're going to get to our pick'ems. So pretty excited. This is all the big games for the bowl season. We have 13 bowl games to go through that is remaining, that starts tomorrow all the way through to the semifinal games in the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl. And we're going to kind of go through each and every one of these, me and Hammonds are, and talk about them a little bit and pick them. These are the big ones. Now, the national championship game will be, next week. We will kind of hone in on just that, because that'll be the only game after these games are played this weekend. I guess Monday is the last ones. So we'll start out with the Gator Bowl. We just talked about the Gator Bowl. You got Kentucky and Clemson. Kentucky 7-5. Clemson is 8-4. Clemson on DraftKings is a 4.5-point favorite. That number has come down. Me and James just talked about that. So it was 4 this morning on ESPN Bet. I've seen it at 4 and 4.5, but I use DraftKings here. So we'll talk about that with 4.5 with DraftKings. What do you think, John, on this game?
To me, this is a toss-up game, I think. If we're being honest, it just depends on how does Kentucky come out and how does Clemson come out. Because we've seen Clemson have really great games, and then we've had, Kentucky look like they've never played a down in their life. So it's just all about how they are mentally prepared for this kind of game. Bowl games are completely different from regular season, especially now, considering you have a lot of opt-outs and guys that are sitting and you don't really know who's playing this time of year. But if I had to go with a prediction, I think I'm going to go Clemson this time. I just, Clemson's end of the year, I think, with 4 straight wins. Their running game's been able to take over, especially with Will Shipley and company. Cade Klubnik's going to be there. The defense, I think, is missing some great big parts, which I think Kentucky can score on. But can they score enough points to win is the question. And I just don't see it with this Kentucky offense. I think this is going to be a fun game, though. It might come down to a 1 or 2 possession game. but I think Clemson covers the spread and wins the 4.5.
All right. I mean, Clemson, I think, has a different level players on their team most of the time overall, top to bottom. They are missing some guys. We just talked to James. I mean, they're missing some key players on defense. One at every level. They're missing a defensive lineman. They're missing their main linebacker. They're missing their main safety. They're missing their main cornerback. So one at every level on defense, and they're missing 3 or 4 backups on top of that. So I think there is a chance that Kentucky can take advantage of this young, very young, true freshman and a redshirt freshman in their first starts at cornerback. I think Kentucky, Leary and Berrien Brown and Dane Key have a chance to take advantage of that. And if they can, I think it'll open things up for Ray Davis. And I can see Kentucky scoring some points here, and I'm going to take Kentucky to cover. I'm going to take the 4.5, and at least take Kentucky to cover this game. On as far as betting, I do believe this is going to be a close game. It would not surprise me if it's not a one possession game, one way or the other. All right. So Clyde, before I move on here, Clyde says Kentucky is definitely winning tomorrow. And I wanted to see if Josh said anything before I moved on.
No.
All right. So the next bowl we're going to talk about, Hammonds, is the Sun Bowl. These games are tomorrow. The Sun Bowl is Oregon State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 6-point favorite in this game. What do you think about this one?
Oh, this game becomes a hot mess. And I say that from the regard that Oregon State's missing their quarterback. He's in the portal. They're missing some guys on the offensive side of the ball. Notre Dame's missing quite a bit of guys. This won't be as bad as that game where they won 30-3 over the Gators. But I feel like it's asking a lot for a bunch of these Notre Dame starters to rise up after just a few weeks of practice to win this. Because there's so many guys out. And I think I'm going to take Oregon State in this game. I don't like Notre Dame in this game, especially, with Sam Hartman out. They have a few guys out on defense. I'm telling you, man, these bowl games have made it hard to watch college football, and you don't really know who to pick.
It is. It's tough.
The rosters are not.
It's tough. I'm going to have a final buzzer. We're going to talk about that at the end because
I think Oregon State wins this game. I'm going to take the points. I'm guessing the 6 points. Notre Dame has a lot of guys out. I'm not saying Oregon State don't either, but I think Notre Dame has a lot more than Oregon State does. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a young team.
I mean, the only problem with Oregon State is who's going to be their quarterback, because not only did they lose DJ, they also lost their backup.
Yeah, it's a tough situation on both ends.
The Aiden guy transferred too.
I think, to me, this could be another 33 Florida game from last year in the Las Vegas Bowl, if we're being honest, on Notre Dame's side.
Yeah.
But on the other side, it could be Notre Dame beating them bad. We don't know until the game starts. So
I mean, you don't really know. I think I'm going to go with you and take. I think I'm going to go with you and take the 6 points as well in this game. It's very hard to pick these games because they're missing so many players. So it is very hard to pick these games, to be honest with you. The next game tomorrow is the Liberty Bowl, and we got Memphis versus Iowa State. Iowa State is a 10.5-point favorite, but what's really odd in this game is the Liberty Bowl is played in Memphis's home stadium.
Yeah, it's basically a home game for Memphis.
It's basically a home game for them that they're a 10.5-point underdog in this bowl game.
Well, and Memphis's old line's taking a big hit too. They've lost a lot of guys, and I think honestly, if we're being realistic here, this game is more of a game for Iowa State. But on the other side of the equation, both teams can get after it offensively. Both teams are fun to watch. This should be an exciting game, honestly. This might be one of my favorite bowl games of the season that's not playoffs, because both sides have potential and guys that can make plays in the air and especially on the ground. But that line's pretty high to me. I don't think just it being a home game for Memphis, I think they're going to be revved up to play, and they're going to have the fans behind them. I just don't think it's going to be a 10.5-point blowout like the spread says. So give me Memphis.
I agree with you. When I saw the spread, I thought, man, that seems high.
Yeah. Give me Memphis and the points. All
right. I mean, I'm going to try not to do all the same. So I do think Iowa State is probably the better team. I know Memphis has some opt-outs, especially you was talking about the offensive line and stuff. Mm-hmm. What I don't know is I really don't know how much Iowa State has.
Well,
I know what kind of hard-nosed team they are, and it's hard for me to imagine that they would have a lot of opt-outs.
Well, they're not.
Because of that, I think I'm going to go Iowa State.
They're really not. They're missing a few guys, but they're not really missing a whole bunch that will cause them to.
That's kind of what I figured. Yeah.
So
I think I'll go with Ohio State and get Iowa State. I'm sorry.
I think Iowa State wins this game, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout because just for the mere fact that it's a home game for Memphis.
Yeah, it is. All right, the next game we're going to talk about, this is one of the games that I've been looking forward to, the Cotton Bowl, and we have Missouri versus Ohio State. Ohio State is a 3.5-point favorite. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. has not said whether or not he's playing or not. I don't really think he will, but it's still out there that he could.
Well, here's the problem you got. You got Kyle McCord's out, the quarterback. You got possibly Marvin Harrison Jr. You got their defensive tackle, Michael Hall's not playing. You could make a list of who is not playing for Ohio State in this game. And
there's several of them. Yeah.
And on the Missouri side, they're without two of their top guys, Tyrone Hopper, the linebacker, and Enos Rakeshaw, but they're out because of injuries. But the rest of the team is intact. So they're going to have their quarterback, they're going to have running back. Luther Burden's going to be there, Cody Schrader's going to be playing. So this game to me is packed with so much offensive potential and defensive potential. Here's a key step for a lot of people that don't know. Ohio State hasn't lost a non-playoff game since 2011,
James, I appreciate you being on, man.
In a non-playoff NY6 since 2008. Now that's impressive, very impressive. And however, I look at this from a roster standpoint, and Missouri's going to have the best roster intact, and I think that's the reason why they win this game. I think they got the better quarterback, they got the better running back, they got the receivers coming in. You know, at the end of the day, Marvin Harrison Jr. is better than Luther Burden, I think. But to say that on this day, Luther Burden's probably going to be the main attraction on the field. He's going to be the main guy.
Marvin Harrison Jr. really hasn't said whether or not he's playing or not. Really,
he hasn't. That's the big thing, and we really don't know. So, at the end of the day,
we really don't know if he's going to play or not.
I feel like the roster, though, the way it's set up, I think Missouri takes this game. So give me Missouri in this game.
All right.
In the Cotton
Bowl.
Bowl.
I'm kind of leaning that way too. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is a possible top 5 pick. It's hard for me to imagine that he would play in this bowl game. Now, Luther Burden and stuff is playing, so maybe that's in his head saying, their best players are playing, I need to play too. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. So maybe he does play. Mm-hmm. And if he does, it could change things. But I'm leaning with some of the opt-outs and transfers and stuff. And, I'm leaning towards Missouri in this game as well. So give me the 3.5 points in this game and give me Missouri. The next game is – these games are Saturday.
And this game, for me, there are a lot of guys
Ole Miss versus Penn State.
A lot of guys are playing in this game, except I think for maybe 2.
Yep.
I think Penn State pass rusher Chop Robinson's not playing, and I think Michael Pettis, the Ole Miss tackle, he's not playing in this game. So a lot of these guys are going to be playing this game. So this should be a more competitive
this game's
game.
Pretty exciting because a lot of them playing.
It is. The Rebels, if you haven't noticed, they're loading up in the portal for next year. They got some of the top guys in the portal. Walter Nolan. They got a couple wide receivers. They're going to be hard to deal with next year. Jackson Dart, to me, he's improved as a passer. Trey Harris, he's emerged as a big-time player for Ole Miss. For me, though, Penn State has the most dependable defense in this game. They've only held their opposition to basically peanuts. If we're being honest, like they've done good work against really good teams, even in losses. They've been formidable, especially on defense. I think, and they've showed ability to score on really great defenses too. But
can they find enough offense?
That's the thing. And can Ole Miss? Ole Miss has got a great offense. They have so many weapons. Can they make plays on an elite defense like Penn State's? That's the big key for me.
And when you look at Ole Miss, when they played Alabama and when they played Georgia, they struggled on offense a little bit.
They did. And I think I'm going to go the safe pick here and pick Penn State to cover. I like Ole Miss in this game, but I just trust Penn State's defense more than I do Ole Miss's. Ole Miss has improved in the portal for next year, but right now in this particular game, I just don't trust that defense to get stops. And I know Penn State's offense is not the best in the world, but they're going to make enough plays to win this game, and their defense will make enough plays to keep Ole Miss out of the end zone. And that's why I think they win by the 4.5.
I mean, all that's fair. Penn State, if they can find 20, 24 points, I think they can win this game. I just don't see Ole Miss like running up the scoreboard on this Penn State team. They have too good of a defense to do that, I think. Like they can against some teams. But I think this Penn State defense is more in line with Alabama defense, more in line with Georgia defense. And when you look at those games that Ole Miss played, they didn't run up the score. They didn't score a whole lot. They scored 14 and 21, I think, against them.
Well, and every single time we've mentioned Ole Miss in a big matchup, an elite matchup, it seems like they never come prepared to play. It's always
that's
their
true.
Their offense can't seem to get past midfield. They make mistakes. This is a big match. This is a big game for them to enter into the next year with all their changes in the portal that they got.
If you're going to take Penn State, I'll take the 4.5 points.
Yeah,
and roll with it, and we'll see, because we can't go the same all the time. So, it's a big game for Ole Miss, I think, heading into next year. All right, then we got the Music City Bowl on Saturday. We got Maryland versus Auburn. Auburn is a 6.5 point favorite on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm. Oh. This is a tough one. And a lot of this, I think ain't there 24 players out in this game?
There's quite a few. I don't know the exact number.
Well, they're not going to have Tungvaloa. He hurts their offense. Well, I know he hurts that offense because they relied on his arm. They was a top 20 passing offense. Their biggest concern was they didn't have a lot of good stuff on the ground. I think they ranked 114th in rushing. Although I'll say this, Auburn has lost 3 bowl games in a row. I still think they're the favorites in this game. They got a decent offense. They got a really good defense that I think should overwhelm Maryland.
They got a good defense.
Well, and Maryland's playing with a pair of unproven quarterbacks, and Hugh Freeze is 6-1 against. And Hugh Freeze is 6-1 against the spread as a head coach in a bowl game. So, give me Auburn. I think Auburn wins this game. I think it's close, but I just think where Maryland has a lot of unproven guys out there, I think Auburn takes this game and they win this game relatively easy going into the fourth quarter. I think it stays close up until the fourth, and Auburn kind of grinds it out and wins this game.
I'm not big on this Auburn team. Their offense struggled mightily at times. They do have a good defense.
They do.
But at the same time, Maryland kind of struggled, and that was with Tua's little brother. And now, and they've got quite a few opt-outs on top of that. I just don't see them. I'm going to take Auburn and give the points.
Well,
I mean,
the thing about it is Tua's younger brother, I can't think of his name, but he was their offense. Like, they relied on his arm a lot. And that's why they was top 20 in the country and throwing the football. And now that they're missing him and having to throw in 2 unproven guys, that puts a lot of stress on that team against a decent Auburn talent defense that they got. And I just think that's going to be too much for Maryland to overcome, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. So the next game we're going to talk about is the Arizona Bowl. This one is Toledo versus Wyoming. Toledo is one of the top teams in the group of 5. They're actually a 3.5 point underdog to this Wyoming team, and Wyoming's played some tough games early on. They have a really good team as well. So what do you think on this game?
They do. Wyoming's got a really good quarterback in Andrew Peasley.
They do.
You know, I think he's had a 60% completion percentage, and he's got 20 touchdowns on the year. His versatility makes him a very dangerous quarterback. I tell you, and Harrison Whaley, he's also been a big asset for the Cowboys. I think he's rushed
I had pecan pie. Josh?
The biggest thing that's concerning me is Toledo's going to be without DeQuan Finn, their quarterback that went into the portal. I think that's going to be a major difference in this game. If Finn was playing, I think, you know, Toledo would have a shot to win this game. And I will say this, Candle, the coach for Toledo, is it Toledo? Is his name? I think his last name's Candle, I think.
Yeah.
He is an awesome coach, and he's going to get some looks at some bigger time offers. But my biggest concern is they're playing without Finn. And Finn was their big-time quarterback all year long. And I think without him, it's going to be a struggle. And I think Wyoming wins this game.
So if I'm mistaken, and this was last year or something, or if I've got the wrong team, but didn't Wyoming hang with Texas for like 3 quarters early in the season?
That was this year, yes.
That was this year, wasn't it?
Yep. And then Texas just kind of bullied them down the stretch in the fourth quarter. They just kind of wore them down.
They did. In the fourth quarter, they pulled away from a little bit, but Wyoming was right there in this game for 3 quarters against Texas. So that's
we got the pecan. Yes, we got the pecan pie, everybody.
Yeah, I had to have some pecan pie, man. That's just
you gotta have it.
Especially
it's the holidays, man.
It's not a holiday if you don't have some pecan pie. I mean,
that's a fact.
So I don't care if I have to buy it somewhere. I'm going to have me some pecan pie.
And on that note, I got Wyoming the 3.5. I think they win. I think
I'm going to take Wyoming in this game as well. Toledo does have a very good team, but I think I'm going to take them as well. Now, this is the game. Got to talk about something here in this game. We got Florida State versus Georgia, and this is the Orange Bowl, okay? The Orange Bowl, all right?
Here's the problem.
Georgia
let me say it for this.
20-point favorite in this game. We all know they lost Jordan Travis. We all know they're undefeated. We all know that they got left out of the college football playoffs, okay? But, John, there's over 40 opt-outs in this game between the two teams.
Well, more so FSU, and I'll get to it right here. You know, they're down to their third string. They're down to their third string quarterback in Brock Glenn. And I don't think he played too much in the ACC championship. The biggest thing for me is there's no players who caught a pass in that game that will play in this one.
Yeah, I know.
Jared Bolt is out. Both top rushers are out. Jared Verse is out. Georgia's missing a couple pieces. Mostly Jamin Dumas Johnson, which he ended up going and committing to Kentucky after leaving and going in the transfer portal. Brock Bowers will be out of this game. The only big name really, Carson Beck is in this game. But I'm at a loss for words on this because, I mean, I get that the portal is huge and it helps you get to where you want to go, but the way it's being handled is atrocious. You know, they opened up this portal, I think, was it the week before? I think it was early in December, right before the bowl game started.
It's the first Monday in December.
And you got all these opt-outs when I feel like they should be opening the portal after the bowl games are over, because now you make a mess of it. And right now, this is just a mess. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is a 20-point spread. This game might be ugly in terms of
Florida State is probably going to have to play their trainers. I mean, honestly, the darn GAs the darn GAs are going to have to suit up pretty soon. I mean, it's just it's sad.
Can you still play football, Brad?
I mean, seriously.
Hey, can we have a 1-day scholarship and play against the Bulldogs? I'll play.
It's sad. You got an undefeated team against the team that was number one basically all year long, and it's the Orange Bowl. And I hate to tell you guys, but this game is gonna suck. It's gonna suck.
This all started, and I tell people this. This all started when they left Florida State out of the college football playoff. And 12 of those starters did not like the decision.
But here's the deal, John. They were if it wasn't Florida State, it was going to be Texas or it was going to be Bama. It was going to be somebody else was going to get left out.
My biggest thing with this whole thing is you have an opportunity of a lifetime in which many people don't realize that the Orange Bowl used to be the game of all games. It used to be the biggest game of all. Like back in the early 90s, it was one of the biggest games on national television. Those national championships with Miami and Nebraska, those were some big time matchups. And you have a chance on national TV to prove yourself.
And you're undefeated, and you could still go undefeated if you beat Georgia. And Texas and Alabama get to the final game, then you're the only undefeated left.
Well, and here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people was even saying
you might be number one.
And a lot of people was saying that the AP voters had this not that FSU, they would vote LSU number one.
They would have to, John.
Because they're undefeated.
Exactly.
But I guess this is where we go into our transfer portal rant. Let's just make this where it's at.
I was going to do that at the end when I do the final buzzer. But this game could get ugly, like pretty fast. I think. Like I really feel like I'm not even sure the 20 points is going to catch it. I think I'm going to go Georgia. And give the 20 points.
And Georgia, for me, is going to be motivated because they was left out. They felt like they was, done kind of wrong in a way too. So Georgia,
Florida State was left out, and they want to be a bunch of crybabies. I'm just saying.
Take your ball and go to the house. That's what it basically boils down to.
Just saying. I mean, man up a little bit. You still have a chance to be number one in the AP poll, and you got 24, 26 players opting out. I mean,
Joshua Hart. Listen, Joshua, I love you. He said FSU's going to win. I said, listen, buddy, I love you, but
yeah,
the miracle.
If they had their players, but I mean,
I think there's a decent shot if they have.
Like I said,
but let's move on.
All right. We'll move on. That one, I had to say a little bit of stuff about on that one. So the Real Quest Bowl, this used to be the Outback Bowl, just so you guys know. This is a big bowl. This was the Outback Bowl for years and years until last year, I think. It's called the Real Quest Bowl now. It's Wisconsin versus LSU. LSU is still a 10-point favorite. And I really don't understand how. They lost their coordinator. Jaden Daniels is not playing.
He's not playing. I'm not even sure if their wide receivers are playing.
Is Neighbors playing? I don't even know if he is or not.
I don't even know if he's playing. which Wisconsin will have Mordecai, their quarterback. They're all Big Ten second safety. Hunter Wohler, he'll be playing. Most of the players that are playing for Wisconsin are on play. Most of the guys that are supposed to be playing will be there. The biggest question mark is,
and LSU probably won't be.
Well, yeah, that's basically where it will, because you got on the LSU side of things, you probably got 10 or 15 draft picks that are going to be in the top 20 or top 30, or even in the second round, and you can't afford to sit. Which I get those opt outs. The biggest opt outs that I'm having an issue with is the transfer portal.
I get
opt-outs.
those. Yeah,
that's the biggest
I
problem
get
I have
those.
with all this. But
yeah,
I'm going to take Wisconsin in the points. I really don't. Without Jaden Daniels, they're still good offensively, but they're not the same without Jaden Daniels. So give me Wisconsin in the points.
All right, if you're going to do that, I'll do the opposite and take LSU. But I'll be honest with you, I really think this 10. I tell you what, I'm not. I'm going to take Wisconsin too, and take the 10 points, because I just don't feel like that this LSU team is 10 points better. I really don't.
Well, I don't even think a lot of these teams are going to be up for these games either. There's a few that's going to be up for it, like some of these younger guys that are playing. But I just don't think a lot of these guys are going to be up for this game. But considering the NFL is coming up pretty soon in April.
Yep.
So,
all right. So then we got the Citrus Bowl.
I can already tell you,
New Year's Day.
Take the
Citrus
points.
Bowl
Take the points with Tennessee and
yeah, Citrus Bowl is Iowa, Tennessee,
and they're playing Nico. They're freshmen. I think he's going to get a chance to shine on the big stage. Joe Milton's sitting out. And there's a funny story behind that. There was the Joseph West guy. If y'all don't know him on Twitter, I think he's a Joseph West. He is a parody account in Tennessee. He does a lot of he gets Tennessee fans to bite on a lot of stuff. Well, he ended up posting about Joe Milton and saying that he was actually going to sit out, and people didn't believe him. And then what was it? An hour or two later, they said he was sitting out, and he was like, "Where's my credential?" And you didn't really believe a parody account, and then he was actually what he was saying was actually the truth. And
it was actually true.
I think it's a good opportunity though for Nico. I think he's a good quarterback. It's a good chance for him to shine on the big stage in a big bowl game that's probably next to the biggest bowl game in the NY6. So I think Tennessee wins this game pretty handily. Iowa's offense is going to have a tough time, especially against this front four of Tennessee's.
Yeah, give me Tennessee all day long and 6 points all day long.
That's no disrespect to Iowa. Their offense is just really not good.
I'll take the 6 points on this one all day.
I'm gonna take
it. Yeah, I agree with you. That was pretty easy if you ask me. Yep. If you're a bettor, absolutely bet that game. That one right there, that's your lock right there, I think. That's your absolute lock. Tennessee over Iowa in the 6. All right, the Fiesta Bowl. We got Liberty, who was the best group of 5. This is a New Year's 6 bowl. This is Liberty versus Oregon.
Well, they're going from Sam Houston State, FIU to Oregon. I get their schedule was pretty easy.
Oregon's got some opt-outs and quarterback and stuff like that, but still they're 16.5 point favorite.
I still think Liberty's going to be in for a long afternoon. I don't think Liberty has a chance in this game. They're going to have to turn over Oregon. Oregon's going to have to make some mistakes and do things they're not normally used to doing, and I just don't see that happening in this game. Give me Oregon in the 16.5. And there's still quite a bit of players still playing for Oregon. There's still some that are buying in from the draft perspective, and they're still going to play and finish out their career. So even on that note, even on that note, I still think Liberty played an easy schedule. Let's just be honest. they had one of the easiest schedules in America. But they had a really good dynamic running attack with Caden Salter and Quentin Coley. I think they was the number one rushing attack in the country. But this is a step up to where you was at in that league compared to
I
the
think
teams
it's
that they
quite
was playing
a big step up, to be quite
It
honest
is.
with you.
So-
You've got to take Oregon in this. I mean,
Give me Oregon.
unless Oregon had like the amount of players missing that Florida State does, I mean, you know what I mean? You know, you got to take the 16.5 or give the 16.5 and take Oregon. All right, so that leaves the college football playoff. We got 2 bowls to talk about. We got the Sugar Bowl. We got Washington versus Texas. Washington's the undefeated team. Texas has 1 loss, but Texas is the 4-point favorite.
This game is going to create movies. And when I say that, you know, you got the whole Steve Sarkisian going up against his former team, Washington. And I think, you know, I wouldn't say there's a lot of animosity there, but I think he would want to get back at the team that, you know, he left. And I think, you know, Texas has, I don't know. This game is just, to me, is out of the whole group of games, this might be the best game. Now, I think Alabama and Michigan will be good, but I think Alabama is just so much better than Michigan. But I think this game, to me, is level, like, in terms of talent-wise, because you got 2 good quarterbacks going up against each, which I don't even – is Quinn Ewers even playing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that these teams, that most everybody's playing, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's right, because Malik Murphy,
Malik Murphy transferred. Ewers is playing, and Manning's going to be his backup.
Yeah, he's going to be his backup. So,
there's not many opt-outs in the college football.
Well, and to me, Washington is all about offense. Texas is more about defense. You know, they average 37 points per game. It come through the air as Penix. I think that Roma Deuce and Jalen Polk was 2 of the best wide receivers in the country this year at Washington.
They got a great tandem.
They have a great wide receiver tandem.
They do.
I think I want to go Washington in this game. I like Texas. I think Texas is a great team. I think they got a great defense, but I just trust Washington's offense more than I do Texas. And I think Washington just does more through the air than what Texas does. And I think that's the reason why I think Washington wins this game. So give me the Huskies.
All right, guys.
In the national championship.
For me, I've been on Washington all season long on this show. If you guys have been with me and watching, I've been talking about how good Penix and his receivers and stuff are, and I picked them when they were the underdog as far as betting, against Oregon. They're not getting their fair share here as well. Even if they win, they're predicted to be underdogs to either team, Michigan or Alabama. So they're going to be dogs against any 4 or any of the other 3 of these 4 teams. And they're just not getting quite the respect that they deserve, I think.
Here's my thing.
Kelly DeBoer is an absolute beast of a coach. I mean, an absolute beast of a coach. And I will take the job that Kelly DeBoer has done over Sark. I'm sorry. I know that most people will take Sark. But for me, give me Kelly DeBoer, Michael Penix, those receiver tandems, back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons by both of them. I mean, they get it done. It's tight games, but give me the 4 points, and I'm taking Washington.
And great offenses overcome great defenses, I think. You can have a great defense, but if your offense –
championship game. Yep.
To
make it to the national championship game.
And I'm just going to
go – that's the Sugar Bowl. The next one, we got one more to do, guys. This is the big one. This is the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, as Keith Jackson always said. It's because
the line for this game is, I think, really about where you want it to be.
It's 1.5, Michigan,
and the outcome is a coin flip. Michigan's had one of the most dominant teams all year long. It's not had the success in the postseason like Alabama has had. Alabama's captured 3 national titles in this format. They've won more playoff games now than any other program. Michigan's yet to win one, despite they've been in
Robert, I appreciate you being on with us, man.
Despite them being in the college football playoffs the last, 2 times. Maybe their first one will be against this Bama team, but I need proof that they can get it done. The last couple of times they've not been able to do it, and the TCU game, they had so many chances to win that game, couldn't do it. And we all seen what happened with TCU and Georgia in the national title game. It was more or less a horror film. So, which I think Michigan would have matched up better with Georgia, but TCU was just playing really well at the time, and props to TCU for getting that. But at the end of the day, they have a man that his nickname is the GOAT in Tuscaloosa, and his name is Nick Saban. And when his teams are in this position, They win. They more than likely they win. They take care of business. Except for that one year they lost to Clemson when they got blowed out. That was just, I don't know what happened there. It was Trevor Lawrence just had a really big night that night. Props to Trevor Lawrence. But I like this Alabama team. I think they've improved over the year. I've seen it. My biggest change in Alabama was when they beat LSU like they did. They beat a good LSU team with a good offense. And then they come out and then they just weather whoop Kentucky. They went through the SEC, beat Georgia, and now they're playing for another national championship, and Jalen Milroe is playing out of his mind. Give me Alabama. And I'm just going to go as far as say this. I know this is just the 2 games, but Alabama is going to be your national champion in 2024. And I say that because have you not noticed when Saban's back has been against the wall, like it was this early in the year, and then he made those runs in the miracle play to beat Auburn. I'll never know how that happened, but that was the ghost of Alabama past, I guess, coming up. But anyways,
that was the
Alabama
kick 6 game. It was the 10-year anniversary.
It was sort of like that, yeah. So
it was.
Alabama wins it all. They raised the trophy for another year. Because when you put Saban's back against the wall like this, you're asking for trouble. And that's why he's the best coach of all time. That's why he's the GOAT. And that's why Alabama is who they are in Alabama. And as much as we
guys the numbers. Nick Saban's 10-1 in the SEC championship game. Okay. This is the 10th year of the college football playoff. This is the 8th time that Alabama has made the college football playoff. Okay. The previous 7 times that Alabama has made it, Saban is 6-1 in the semifinal game. He's only lost 1. He's 6-1.
And that one was, I think, Ohio State, wasn't it?
It was Ohio State the very first year.
Yeah.
It was Ohio State the very first year, 2014. That's
Wasn't
his
that
only
wasn't
semifinal
that the year? Wasn't that the year that Ezekiel Elliott played for Ohio State? I think
Well, they actually played their backup quarterback.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's his only loss.
Because he got drafted by the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott did that next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played for Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just telling you, you're talking about the greatest. I mean, his numbers in these kind of games are just unheard of. Yes, Trevor Lawrence and Clemson got the best of him one time in the championship game. He's lost 2 of those, I think, championship games. But outside of that, I mean, he wins almost everything. Michigan, listen, guys, Michigan is right there. They have a really great team. Defense, I'm just not 100% sold that their offense is quite as good as what Bama has become.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot bet. If you're asking me between Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban, give me Nick Saban every time. I mean, I got to take Bama.
I'll go as far as say this on the whole Michigan front. Now, there's a lot of teams in college football that can't hang with Alabama. But here's my thing.
Cardell Jones.
Michigan, to me, out of all the teams, maybe Texas, or maybe not even Texas, but Michigan has the best chance to hang with Alabama because of the players that they got, the 5 stars and the 4 stars. They got talent that can match up with Bama. But is Bama on a mission, or is Bama just happy to be here because they slid into the college football playoff?
Nick Saban's never just happy to be there. I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to beat it in their brains.
I know that. And he's going to beat it into their heads that, I'm
telling you.
Everybody disrespected us all year long. They told us we was not real good. We snuck into the playoff. We peed everybody off. We made everybody mad by beating Georgia. And now it's time to make a statement.
I'm going to throw this out here at the end of this. There are some rumors. I don't know if any of this is true, but there are some rumors and there's some inside jokes that's going around that the Chargers are talking to Jim Harbaugh. And there are some inside jokes going around saying, does Jim Harbaugh even get back on the plane and fly back to Ann Arbor? Or does he stay in L.A.? He's already at the Rose Bowl. Does he stay at L.A. and take the L.A. Chargers job? I'm just throwing it out there. There are some things that's going on with Michigan that is a complete distraction, okay? And I guarantee you that Nick Saban don't have that going on in his program.
Mm-mm.
Not a damn chance. Not a chance. Guarantee.
I'll tell you something else too, is the play. I think, Alabama's defense has played better, but I think the play of Milroe has really elevated them, because he was early in the year, he was very subpar, and it's like a light came on and he just clicked and he just put it together. And, that's one of the main reasons why Alabama's playing the way they are right now.
Yep. All right. Real quick, I'm going to try to get in a final buzzer here. We're going to have to wrap this up pretty quickly. But
can we have a
transfer portal?
Can we have a little extra things? I just wanted to kind of say conference tournament, conference week in college. We didn't really touch on much college basketball tonight, but conference play starts this week coming and next weekend. It's a big time in college basketball. And it's getting to be cold weather season, Brad. Are you ready for the snow?
Yeah. No. I don't like the snow.
But I just kind of want to throw that in there. Conference play starting, winter times, you ready to
we're definitely going to be talking about college. It's just college basketball. It's just a big time of the year right now for college football. We got a bunch of big games and the championships and stuff like that.
I'm going to let you rant on this one.
In the last 3 or 4 days, college basketball really hadn't had a whole lot going on.
I'm going to leave the studio on this one. I'm going to let you have your moment with the final buzzer. I just want to say Merry Christmas.
You got to hear this, man.
I'm going to listen to it.
You got to hear this. Okay. All right.
Well, I just wanted to say I hope everybody had a good Christmas, and I hope everybody has a happy New Year. And we did eat pecan pie. Brad stuffed his face this week, but Brad's going to go on this final buzzer and discuss what he feels is wrong with the transfer portal. And I'm going to listen in on the comment box. I feel like Brad needs to say something about this because this is a major problem.
It is. So my final buzzer with the transfer portal. So here's the deal, guys. And NCAA and everything that you got going on, please pay attention to this. And I don't understand what is going on. There is no other sport on the face of this earth that when the postseason is going on, that they open free agency and everything is crazy and wild and you lose half your team. Okay? That is insane. There is no other sport. Imagine if college basketball, right before March Madness, opened the damn transfer portal and everybody transferred and left and half the players are gone and you have to play walk-ons in the Sweet 16 of March Madness. I mean, just imagine that. That is what is going on. They are ruining college bowl games. The only thing that matters right now is money. That's it. And it's retarded. It needs change. This transfer portal, I want to give you a snippet of what's actually going on, okay? So these games that we just talked about, for these games, the transfer portal closes January 2nd, okay? But the NCAA says, well, if you're playing in one of these games, we will give your team 5 extra days after your game for your players to transfer out. Hello? If that's the case, why the hell don't you do that for every one of the bowl games? I don't care if it's 5 days, give them 7 days, give them 10 days. Don't give them 45, give them 10 days. I don't care. But why in the hell don't you do that for every single bowl game? Make it where they cannot enter the portal until the game is played. There is no sense. There is a game going on tonight. Oklahoma lost their entire offensive line to the stupid transfer portal. They are playing Arizona in a big game, bowl game tonight. They are literally having to start tight ends and defensive linemen on their offensive line in a bowl game against 9-3 and 10-2 second place teams in the Pac-12 and Big 12. What the hell's wrong with you guys?